Hi, my name is Derek Sills. I'm your instructor for today. We're going to be dealing with fractions of an inch, learning how to read a measuring tape or a ruler. This is kid friendly. You can put your child in front of it. I'm going to break a ruler down and a tape measure down to a fraction of an inch. So that way you can read from a measuring tape or a ruler. Your child could be proficient in fractions. I have my board here that's going to really break down everything that you need to know about learning fractions of an inch. Today, as a carpenter, I want you to be well versed at knowing how to read these rulers or tape measures so that you can be equipped to talk to contractors or get your own estimates, tape off a room, get your square footage together. And we're going to go over all these different things that you need to learn in the building process, whether it's new construction or home remodeling or DIY projects. I just want you, as someone that is working with this tool, to know what you're doing and know what you're talking about when it comes to reading off a ruler or measuring tape. Specifically the measuring tape, because it is a tool that the carpenter used in building. I've been a carpenter for over 38 years. I'm from Long Beach, California. I have implemented different programs. I started building subdivisions, which is tract housing in California, back since the early 90s. Freeway construction, late 80s. And that's how long I've been in this profession. I've made a living, provided for my family, sent my kids to college. So with that being said, trust me, you're going to get a wealth of information from me if you stick with me during this course. I have a model I'm going to be sharing with you. We're going to go through the framing process, the estimating process, the blueprint reading process. We're going to go through a ton of stuff. Everything that I pretty much learned, I want to share it with you. Stay with me. You got projects, you're a superintendent of a school district or a university or a two-year college. I am an instructor. I have a ton of experience learning how to construct. We're not talking about dog houses, sheds, storage facilities. Very simple. We can break these things down for you. But my job is to teach you the fundamentals of building. So that way you can be comfortable reading a set of blueprint drawings, whether it's on an iPad, whether it's blueprints, which a lot of people really have a hard time understanding. We're going to take you through the whole process. And whether it's paper blueprints or whether it's on an iPad, you should still be able to read the way I teach you how to read it. You should still be able to estimate and break it down how I teach you how to break it down. Modern technology has been very great. When I started in the late 80s, we didn't have it. It has handicapped a lot of our people because it's battery operated. It's power driven by electricity in your home. When it comes to laptops, computers, programs, when these things go out and they're no longer available for you, what will you stand on? All you need to stand on is your basic arithmetic, your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, and your division. These four basic math products or math equations is what you really need to get over. You don't need electricity when it comes to these principles. All you need to do is learn the basic. This is not a math class, but we are teaching you fractions of an inch. So stay with me, because fractions of an inch is where you're going to go. Very simple. And we want to make sure it's simplified for you. So we're going to start off with 1/16 of an inch. And as you see, our board is marked up at the bottom and at the top. At the top, we're dealing with feet and inches. At the bottom, we're dealing with reducing the fractions of an inch. Basic math. So when you read this board here, I have 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inches is as far as I'm going. 6 inches is half of 12 inches, which is a foot. You got to remember, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. The symbol for feet and inches on any blueprint scale is going to be this symbol here. That's in red. This symbol here, the double stroke symbol, the single stroke symbol. I want you to understand how and what it means to hook a measuring tape onto something or to butt it. You have to know the difference between the two. Hooking a measuring tape requires it to be hooked. Butting, all it requires for you is to butt into it. Those two concepts and principles are going to be very important for you to understand when it comes to building layout. When we talk about building layout, we're talking about the plans and what the plans on the floor plan require for you to know how to hook or butt when you do your layout. We're going to get into all these different things. Stay with us because it's going to be an exciting program for you. We're teaching you all the basics for you to be able to actually function and do your own project. If you're in a school district, I am in Gretna, Louisiana. I work at a hospital in New Orleans, and I'm a master carpenter. You're going to learn how to cut a roof, or at least know how to calculate rafters from different styles of roofs that's structured into framing. How to frame walls at different elevational heights for different rooms, because walls go from balloon framing to the average height of either 8'1" or 9'1". There's rooms that's 10 foot, 12 foot ceiling heights. Ceiling joists, floor joists, heading out an area for a stairway, heading out an area just for a chimney to go be framed up above the roof line. A lot of variables that's dealing with the standard of framing that we're going to be talking about and the principles of it. There's principles of framing. There is a method to this madness. And I need you to be paying attention because this course is going to show you how to pass inspections from the city, the structural engineer, Simpson Hardware, Simpson Seismic Engineering is what I'm a master at. That's a whole different type of blueprint within the blueprint when you go to dealing with learning how to build. So let's take our measuring tape. This is the part of the hook for the measuring tape. It's a part of the measuring tape that has the metal in front of it. As you see, there's a piece of metal here that is attached to this tape. There's numbers associated with this tape that goes from 0 to 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, all the way to a foot. If I put it this way, then you'll be able to see maybe a little bit better on how this tape operates. You need to know how to master this. And for all you general laborers out there that want to progress and to become a carpenter to where you can make more money to help feed your family, then you need this course. This is going to help you totally because we're going to start off with 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. But when we really look at what we're dealing with, every one of these lines that we see here that's drawn on my board represents the measuring tape or the ruler. These associate with a fraction of an inch. So within 1 inch from here to here, you're going to be able to know every one of these lines and the function that they have. Mind you, Each one has a name. Some have two names. And it's the call out size that you've given the cutter. So if you're cutting a piece of lumber or you're cutting a piece of wood or anything that you're measuring, and someone's going to be cutting, if you work in a pair, one man is measuring, one man is cutting. You give a call outside, hey, I need you to cut me a block. A block is a 2x4 piece of lumber that is specifically used in between framing members to stiffen it up. So terminology is what we're going to be teaching you as well. So pay attention to the terminology that I do use. I had to draw everything here backwards because of the way my camera is being faced and shown to me. But what's going to start with this guy right here? 1/16. This guy is named 1/16 because he's the beginning of the measuring tape. 1/16. He's not a very big guy. He is a very small part of the measurement phase of 1 inch in the fractions of an inch. You have this second number here, and his function is 1/8 of an inch. And I have it written right here, 1/8. But he's also called 2/16. There are 15 sixteenths within 1 inch. 15. So you count them. Let's count them together. 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, 4/16, 5/16. Now 4/16 and 2/16 also have a different name as well. Because when you take your 2/16, which is the second one here, which is considered to be 1/8, we're going to go to our board here, and we're going to do some division here to get this settled. So we have 1/8, but 1/8 is 2/16. So 2/16 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 16 is 8. How do we get that? The multiplication. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 8 is 16. But division plays a very important role when it comes to multiplication. Because when you divide here, you're also using multiplication. You have to multiply. I cannot get 2 into 16 unless I multiply 2 times 8. Because 2 times 8 is 16. But 2 divided by 8, or 2 divided by 16 is 8. 2 divided by 16 is 8. But 2 times 8 is 16. 2 divided by 2 is 1. But 2 times 1 is 1. So division and multiplication work hand in glove with each other. And you have to understand, if your child is going to school, it's very important. He can have mastery and learning the fractions of an inch to become a carpenter, plumber, electrician, heating and air conditioning guy, drywaller, or roofer. He needs to know his measuring tape. You cannot excel in these trades. Concrete finishing, concrete masonry, brick masonry. You can't excel, and you can't go no further if you do not master the measuring tape. We must conquer this first. Then you could be on your way to learn others. Because once you start mastering this and learning how to pull the tape, learning how to use certain types of mechanical tools, then you will begin to be on your way to learning. And there is a learning process. As a homeowner, the process is a little slower because you're learning on the job. It took many jobs for me to be proficient at my skill level. Years. You're not trying to, if you're a homeowner, be proficient. You're just trying to learn how to build your house or your project with a proficient guy like me, or an expert. I'm an expert. I've dealt with engineers, architects, I also draw plans myself. So that lets you know the high level of experience that I do have, because most carpenters don't draw. Most carpenters don't deal with engineers. Most carpenters do not, and I mean to tell you, certain things they do not install. Some carpenters don't install drywall nor know how to mud and tape drywall. Some carpenters don't know how to do roofing, shake, shingle, or roll mineral surface roofing, or torch down. So to make a good living in this trade, as a carpenter, I had to broaden my skills. I had to broaden my horizon to stay busy. For when framing ended during the winter season, I went inside and learned the finished part. Handrails, door trim, door hanging, base molding, crown molding. That was a different part of carpentry. It's called finished carpentry. Decks, handrails on stair casings, that different type of carpentry. Carpentry is a very broad field, and to learn it starts right here. So we have 1/16 of an inch, the first little guy. The second guy is 1/8 of an inch. The third guy is 3/16. 1/16, 3/16, and 5/16, 7/16, 9/16, 11/16, 13/16 are going to always be considered a 16th. There's no other number that's going to replace them. Those are original 16ths. When we go to the 1/8 of an inch, his number is 2/16. He goes from 2/16 to 1/8. The 4th 16th is going to be considered as the 1/4 16th. The 6th 16th is going to be considered 3/8. Now, how many 16ths does it take to get to 3/8? Let's count them, okay? 3/8 is here. This is this guy. There are very height limits to the structure here on this board with the measuring tape. Remember, this being the smallest in height, this being the next level of height. So you got small, medium, large, then you got an extra large, if we're going to consider them at a height variance, okay? The height variance is going to determine the number of the fraction of an inch. The 1/4 of an inch has a very height variance. It's going to always look the same in terms of the length of the height from the bottom of the measuring tape or ruler to where he had. Everything above here is still considered to be the same as below here. There's no difference from the bottom of my measuring tape to the top of my measuring tape. So don't be confused, please. Because you see the writing that I have here between the bottom dealing with the 16ths and then up above within the body of the blade are numbered 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, 1/2, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8. Remember, 7/8 is not 1 inch. It's 1/8 of an inch away from being 1 inch. There are 15 16ths before you reach 1 inch. 15 16ths is just 1/16 away from being 1 inch. 16 16ths is considered 1 inch, which is a whole. So when you have 15 16ths, you're 1/16 being away from 16 16ths equals 1. Every time you have a number that requires to be 16 over 16, 2 over 2, and mathematics is always equal to 1 whole. That's mathematics. It's not going to change. So with that being said, Let's go back. 1/16, 2/16. 2/16 is 1/8. 1/16, 2/16, 3/16. 3/16 is always going to be 3/16, just as 1/16. So when you hook your tape and you come across the end of where you're measuring, and if it says 3/16, that's the call out size. If it says 1/8, that's the call out size. But what is 1/8 if you break it down into 16ths? It's 2/16, 1/8. So let's not confuse you here. Let's master it. Because a guy may call and say, hey, Jimmy, what's that measurement? Jimmy may say, I need you to cut that down about 7/16. 7/16 is before you get to the 1/2 inch. You got to remember, all these represent a 16, but 7/16 cannot be broken down into any other fraction of an inch but what is called. Now, 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch can also be broken down into two different fractions of an inch. A 1/2 inch is going to be a 1/2 inch. It's in the media. It's in the middle between the starting point of hooking and the 1 inch margin. That's anywhere that you go on this board. I don't care if it's 144 inches and 3/16. You always have the 3/16, but the 144 inches now, it's going to be 12 feet. You have to know your inches and your footage. Your footage is going to always have a number that's going to specify what it is on your ruler or your tape, okay? Depending on how long of a tape you have. Measuring tapes can get very long, 35 feet. A measuring tape can stretch out to. Now, as when I was floor joisting, I needed a tape that's going to stretch out so far that it didn't break or bend if I was standing on a wall or a plate, which a wall was 3.5 inches. Now I'm 8 feet in the air, and I'm on something that's 3.5 inches wide. And there's nothing on this side or behind me but to fall. So my balance had to be good. So I didn't hurt myself. Nowadays, you don't have that. OSHA regulations require you now to have a strap, and you have to be tied off to a stationary pole somewhere in the framing process where you don't fall, because a lot of injuries happen. In my day and time, you walk plate. You carried lumber on plate, whether it was 2x8, 2x10, 2x12 lumber that got very wide on the shoulders, and you had to have a balancing act in order for you to walk. Now, let's get back to what we were talking about. The guy calls out a measurement, and the measurement is like, cut me a 3/8 inch piece off of this plywood. Now, a piece of plywood is 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. Now, what he's requiring is 3/8 to come off the sheet of plywood, not the 4 foot part. It's the 8 feet long part he may want it cut. Because if he cuts off the 4 foot part 3/8 of an inch, then he's ripping it. That's a different cut. But if he's just cutting the plywood, hey, cut 3/8 of an inch off that 8 foot. He's now going to have 7 foot. And basically, we have 3/8 here. He's going to probably have 7 foot 5/8 left over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/8. You're going to need to know how to work your 16ths and your 1/8 of an inch up and back. So mathematically, you can think about, if I'm cutting off 3/8, then this sheet of plywood is going to be 7 foot, not 8 foot, which 8 foot is 96 inches. Let's go here. 8 feet, 96 inches. So if we take 96 inches and we take away 3/8 of an inch off of 96 inches, we should have 7 foot and 5/8. 7'11" in actuality and 5/8. 7'11" and 5/8 we should have. Because 8 feet is 96 inches. You take 3/8 off of 96 inches, you're going to have 7 feet, 11 inches, and 5/8. Mathematically, I should be able to do that in my head, on the job. That makes me proficient. It makes me hands-on, make me quick on my knowledge when I put on my tape. And a lot of guys, clown guys out there where you don't know your measuring tape. So, you need to get this down because you're going to be laughed at. Because you don't want to be calling out something and you're going to be saying, hey, man, cut me 2 inches and 4/16. And 2 inches and 4/16. What is he talking about? What is 2 inches and 4/16? So let's count these 16ths, okay? 1/16, 2/16, which is 1/8, 3/16, always 3/16, 4/16. 2 inches and 4/16. Come on now, what is that? It's 2 inches and a quarter. So people will make fun of you because 4/16. So you have to take that 4/16, which I have on my board here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. That's multiplication. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Remember we were saying how 4/4, 16/16, 2/2 is always going to equal to 1 in division. But when we're doing multiplication, what multiplication does for us when we in this type of process of fractions of an inch, 4 divided by 16 is 4. How is that? Because 4 times 4 is 16. Knowing your multiplication. You got to get it down pat. Take your child and go over his timetables. Very proficient. I'm not doing math here, but I'm explaining the equation to you on how you get to this process here. And I'm showing you it's already broken down. We did the 2/2. We did the 1/8, the 2/16 over 1/8. Now we did the 4/16 over a quarter inch because of what people will call out when you in this profession. And I want you to be able to break this thing down. Break it down. I need you to break it down so that you're proficient and that any call out size or any measurement that you pull or butt. Remember we went over hooking and butting. Hook, butt. Hook, butt. That's what the measuring tape is going to do for you. It's going to hook. It's going to butt. It's going to hook. It's going to butt. So when you call out hook the wall plate in framing, hook, go 1 foot 2/16. 1 foot 1/8. 2/16, 1/8. 1/16, 2/16, 1/8. 2/16. It's always going to be 1/8. We put that like just like this. 2/16. Let me make that better for you, so that way you'll be able to really see what I'm talking about. 2/16. It's going to be 1/8. 2/16 is going to be 1/8. Okay, it's the same when you go to 3. You have 3/16, going to always be a 16. And I want to make sure that you get this, because it's very important that you know how to break 15/16 down within an inch, because it's going to follow you when it gets 10 inches, when it gets 13 feet, 13 inches, you still be able to come within the margin of knowing the correct 16th or the correct eighth, half, quarter, 3/4, 7/8. You're going to know that automatically off the top of your head. But you have to know how to break down 15/16 within an inch, because every 15/16 is going to give you the value before you get to the 1 inch. It's the value. It's the correct measurement for the cut you need to make or for the estimation. Remember, this also has to do with estimating. You need to learn this. You cannot estimate. Look, if you're going to go and use a program to calculate, because they got so many different types of gadgets out there now, where you can laser wall to wall, and it's going to read you out the measurement that you should be learning how to read from the beginning. Exercise your mind. Keep exercising your brain. It's a very good thing to exercise it. When you let things, and I'm not saying don't buy these products. No, by all means. Because when you're in production, you might be working for a company that need you to produce estimations quickly. It's going to require you to do AutoCAD, some type of estimation program that the company might be using, and you need to be proficient. Because they say, hey, we got the Durham job. Here's the plans. The plans are this big. We're talking about this round. The plans. Thick. Very thick. These plans go with the original set of blueprints, but these plans are for engineering only. Seismic engineering. They color coded. You know what I'm saying? So what you seeing that they color coded the way they are, they're showing you all the wall locations and where all the walls are going to be and the rooms. You have to be able to look at the floor plan a lot of times to get your estimate off of it, okay? Just to be able to estimate, you need the floor plan, because it's going to require you to know the different measurements. And within that, follow me on the blueprint reading, because I'm going to be showing you details on how to read the plans. I'm going to be drawing it on this board just like you see here. And you're going to follow me how to get the center of a door, how to get the center of a window, because doors and windows are very important throughout the whole entire structure, okay? That's where you go walk in, walk out. Where you view in, you view out. There's nothing more elaborate unless you're going into a cased opening, which means it's not a door, it's a doorway. It's a way to walk and transition from one area to another room, like in restaurants. They may have walls dividing a certain area, but they might have an archway that has no door because the archway is so big and wide. But it's just separating where you can just walk in. Oh, you're seating over there. Oh, your seating is over here. Let's go back to here. 15/16. Again, when you can master every one of these, going from 1/8, which is 2/16, 3/16, 4/16, which is 1/4, 4/16 is 1/4. Let's see what the 5/16 is. That's all it's going to be. 5/16. Now, when you get to the 3/8, its numeral value of a fraction of an inch is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/16 gives me 3/8. 6/16. So, 6/16 we have right here. Let's see, 2 divided by 6 is what? 3. 2 divided by 16 is 8. Well, how is that? Because, you know, when you look at 2 times 3, it gives you 6. When you look at 2 times 16, you have 8. So, 2 goes into 6 3 times. This is division. 2 goes on to 16 8 times. That's how you come up with 3/8. From division to multiplication. So, 3/8, 6/16. 6/16, 3/8. So when we go to 7/16, that's right before you get to the 1/2 inch. It's this little guy right here. He's before the half. He's also after the half. So what is his numerical value before the half? 7/16. Okay, so 7/16. I got asterisk by that one. 1/16, 11/16, 13/16, 15/16, 5/16, 3/16, 9/16. Those numbers are always going to stay a 16. Let's go over that one more time. Okay, so we're going to look at 1/16, always a 16. 3/16, always a 16. 5/16, always a 16. 7/16, always a 16. 9/16, always a 16. 11/16, always a 16. 13/16, always a 16. 15/16. This guy right here. See, I got this line drawn. 15/16, always a 16. Those numerical values that I just stated to you are going to always be said on the job site as a 16. What changes within the fraction of an inch to cause it not to be a 16, although it is a 16? Let's go over it. 1/8 of an inch, 2/16. But you call it out as 1/8. Don't call it out as 2/16. Because the person you'll be calling that out as, he may not be as proficient to hearing the 16th that way. He knows it, but come on, man, call it what it is. 1/8. 4/16. Call it what it is. 1/4 of an inch. Because 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch is always easy to identify within the eardrum, within the mindset. I know how big 1/4 is. I know how big 1/8 is. But you're going to throw some people off that's not used to, seeing it like that. They're going to be tripping on you because you called it 2/16. Come on, man. You know that's 1/8. Come on, bro. What you doing out here? You trying to confuse me? Call 1/8 1/8. Call 1/4 1/4. Call 3/8, which is 6/16. Call it 3/8. 1/2 inch is not going to be 8/8. 8/8. Man, cut that plywood 8/8. It don't sound right? Man, cut 1/2 inch off the plywood. Now that sounds more logical. Cut 1/4 inch off that plywood for me. Or you may hear something like this on the job site. Hey, I'm 3/8 of an inch too strong. That means I need 3/8 cut off that. We're going to teach you the scenarios as I'm giving it to you on the job site for the call-out size. This is how tradesmen interact with each other when it comes to building. It don't matter. Hey, if the Romex to the electrical wire is 1 inch too short, guess what he's going to say? Man, you're 1 inch too short. Come on. If you're making it an exception, man, you're 7/8 of an inch too short. Where's 7/8 at? This is how much he's short. That distance means a lot. In estimating, you miss a foot or even 6 inches of wall length, and you estimate, you're costing money. And always remember the dollar amount. That 6 inches could mean $300 to $3,000 if you're doing a whole building. We're talking about lumber. Okay, lumber. And lumber is very expensive now compared to when I was coming up. So, back to the board. Let's pay attention on what we got going on here. We're breaking the 15/16 of an inch down before we get to the 1 inch. From 1 inch to 2 inch, it's still the same 15/16 at the top and at the bottom. Whether it's 2 and 7/8, you still have the call out size of the 15 of the 16ths that you have to meet as a requirement to call out that number. that numerical value. 13/16 is an odd number, and I have it here. 13/16 right here. It's going to always be 13/16. How many times have I heard 13/16 called out for a cut? Hey man, cut that 4 inches in 13/16. That's not likely to happen. It will usually be a quarter, or it's usually going to be 5/8. 16ths are not called out because most people, hey, in lumber, you could be within an eighth to a quarter of an inch short. But an eighth can be something tight that most framers will just beat into place. They say, hey, it's tight, but it's right. They like stuff tight. There's some framers that want tight, like a finished carpenter. When you get into finished carpentry and cabinetry, you go to not 1/16, but before you get to that 16, you be having like 1/32, 1/64 of an inch was the measurements that they like to call out, because when you're dealing with cabinetry and finished products, most finished carpenters know, I don't want nobody coming, I don't want the painter coming behind me caulking or wood spackling or putting in my work, because it does not look like original, especially if it has to be stained. Baseboard, crown molding. When they have to go behind and caulk the joints because they did not meet like they should have tight, because paint and varnish is going to cover a fine line of joints butting. But gaps that need to be caulked, sometime, if it's close up to the eye, like a chair rail or handrail, you can actually walk up to it and see that little imperfection right there. This miter cut. I can put my finger through that miter cut right here. But they didn't caulk it. They didn't spackle it. They didn't put no type of wood filler. Wood filler not all the time matches when you join in wood together. And it could be a discoloration when you're dealing with custom homes. Subdivision and tract homes don't even matter. They spraying stuff 1 or 2 times. The paint covers it up. They keep moving on. But I have seen some poor quality work. When you become a carpenter and proficient as me, you can just walk in the room and start picking the room apart. And you can tell the craftsmanship when you walk in. It's because of this. The guy that trained me, Charles McDowell, and a lot of the framers that I was around, we would be driving into the subdivision 5:45 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, when daylight saving time was not in existence at the time, and we knew that the daylight was breaking early. Charles, they called him Charlie. We'd be pulling right through the gate. And the first thing he said, he'd be looking down the street, because we in the subdivision now. We got houses on both sides that's being framed up. And he'll be looking while he's driving. He said, tell his brother Edward. He said, hey, Ed, look at that. We talking about the 5th or the 6th house down before we even passed the first house. You see that fascia board down there? It look crooked. They used to call him Charlie Crow because of the eye he had, like a crow. I'd be looking, I'd be in the back of the truck, we driving. I'm trying to see what he see, because I was a young man. And I started visualizing what it meant for levelness, vertically, horizontally, the joining of wood together. Look at that. He had pointed out. And that's what got my eye to be as sharp. It's because you have a person that's teaching you and showing you, and you're developing your sense of ability to see And when you can develop your sense of ability to see, man, you start seeing all kinds of, man, that fascia board don't look right over there. Well, that's siding. And you know, siding steps up horizontally. So when you see a piece of siding board above another piece, and then you see it kind of like one side is higher than the other, you catch it with your eye. Well, that piece of siding don't look right. What did they do there? When you learn this, that's when you start learning gaps. And you can see them. Boy, that fascia board didn't come together so tight. They're going to have to caulk that. But guess what? That was the framer's mess up. Because the framer didn't cut a straight. He may have cut a pitch. And we're going to get into pitches. He may have cut a different pitch on one part of the rafter or the fascia board and joined. He may have joined a 4 and 12 with a 4 3/4 pitch on one side. 4 3/4 here, 4 and 12, 4 and 12 here. However, they join together. The cut from his square that he put did not line up with this side here, and it did not meet. Therefore, it put off a discrepancy in between the material. Most framers that really take pride in their work tighten right. Tighten right. Want to be tight because it's right. It's got to meet. Starts right here. You learn this? Tighten right, buddy. Tighten right. Let's get it tight because it's going to be right. So, breaking down every one of these again as we're going ahead, we need to establish and make sure that you know 1 foot equals 12 inches. 2 feet equals 24 inches. 3 feet equals 36 inches. 4 feet equals 48 inches. 5 feet, you see the symbol? The symbol is going to always be on one side when it comes to feet. The symbol on the inches side is going to always represent inches. You see that on the blueprint. Clear as day. Don't get it twisted. You will not see one opposite of the other on the other side because it will be confusion. And most architects and draftsmen, and there's a difference between an architect and a draftsman. An architect is a designer that has developed the floor plan, the layout, the look of the house. The draftsman just draws it. He just draws it. The engineer, he also has architects and draftsmen work for him. And if he's not doing that little small stuff, then they have to come to him. Because what he's doing is calculating live load and dead load. Weight factors from single story to 2 story. There's weight that's there. You can't build a 2-story building with a single story foundation. We're going to get into the foundations. I'm going to teach you so much. You're going to start learning. And you're going to start learning what foundations look like. And the depth, how deep they go into the ground. Basements. And their footings. Footings, foundations are the same. What goes in a footing, typically, for a foundation? The foundation holds up the structure that's being built on top of the soil or the ground. Soils, we're going to talk about soils. That's getting into geology, dealing with soils and what type of soil you have in your area. We had in LA County, there were a lot of areas that had expansion soil. Some areas had bedrock. As a builder, in order for you to know your foundation, you're going to have to know soils. Because in expansion soil, they're going to require you to either dig deeper and wider. What does expansion soil represent? It's a different type of soil. Usually a lot of it resides on, you have a topsoil, which is usually 6 to 8 inches, which you got easy soft dirt. Grass grows easily on it. But below that, you start reaching into like a clay type substance, an expansion type of substance, which means When it gets hot, it contracts. When it gets cold, it expands. Well, one or the other. Heat can make soil contract, and cold can make it expand. Or cold can make it contract, and heat can make it expand. As it gets drier, there's an effect on your soil, basically. Your digging process for digging out that dirt can mean more time and labor. Harder to dig in. Put 3 or 4 guys out there with a shovel and a pick and see how they start complaining after you done laid out the foundation. Always easy to get through the 6 to 8 inches deep. Soon as they hit that clay or they hit that expansion soil, baby, it's so tough and it's so rough. So rough, so tough out there. So rough, so tough. And that makes it harder for the shoulders to be picking and while one is shoveling. I like my foundations. When I lay it out, picture perfect, baby. It's square. Your footing's going to be square. I set my form boards up. We're going to have a model on setting forms. So you'll get this. So stay with me. All starts right here. Okay? So, back to it. 6 feet, 72 inches. 7 feet, 84 inches. 9 feet, 8 feet, 96 inches. 9 feet, 108 inches. 10 feet, 120 inches. 11 feet, 132 inches. 12 feet, 144 inches. You need to know your feet and your inches. Very easy. Feet is always going to separate, and inches is going to be the latter part. The foot is going to be called out before the inches. You're always going to read. That's before you get to 1 foot. But even before you get to 1 foot, which is 12 inches, you're going to have 11 of these numbers posted. So if I go 2 inches and 3/4, I need to know where my 3/4 is. How many 16ths in a 3/4? Can anybody tell me? Hey, open class. Somebody can raise their hand. I won't look. Somebody. Oh! Johnny be good. So tell me, what is 3/4? It's 12 16. 12 16. Come ahead of the class, bro. 12 16ths is 3/4. Can anybody tell me 5 8? 5 8. That's 10 16. 5 8 is 10 16. Oh, wow. I got an amazing class here, y'all. Y'all need to really catch on what's going on. Very easy to catch on. We need you to break this down. 3 8. Can anybody tell me 3 8? That's 6 16. That's 6 16. What? But we're not going to call it 6 16, right? Don't get that call out, man. Hey, I need a board cut 11 and 6 16. No, don't do that, please. Don't. Please, man. You get laughed off the job. Just tell them 3 8. 11 and 3 8. Okay? 1/4 inch. 3 8 of an inch. 1/2 inch. 5 8 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. 7 8 of an inch. They have earned their right on the board to be called what they are. Don't you call them no 16. Don't do that. Even though we do know all of them represent a 16. Please don't do that. Please don't. Don't sit confusion in emotion, especially with, when you're teaching a woman. Hey, give her the real size. For you women that's out there and you guys are really doing your thing, I commend you. Women are in this trade and it's fascinating to see them. I've worked by some side by side. You know what I mean? Very bright. Females are very bright. When they know what they know. You know what I mean? And you're not finna argue with them. You can't even argue with them at all. So how you gonna argue with them some measurements? But anyway, you're not going. When they learn this right here. Okay, it is what it is. Now, if you cut it and they come up short, they just like anybody else on the job. Girl, you told me. What is you talking about? Oh, I'm sorry. Work with each other. Then you can build together. And you can build with each other. Everybody has to be accountable for their brother. Even though you didn't call that size out, you still cut it. If they messed up, guess what? You messed up. You don't want to have to go back and check your brother, but what you do is you say, check it again. Measure twice, cut once is industry standard. Measure twice, cut once. Industry standard. I've done it all my life, because you can have so many different things going through your head that fractions of an inch can be. You can mix up 3/8 with 7/16 very easy, or you can mix up 3/8 with 5/16 very easy. 3/8, where is it at? 3/8, 6/16. Why can't you mix 3/8 up very easy with 5/16? Because they're right next door to each other. How can you mix up 3/8, which is 6/16, with 7/16? Because it's above the 3/8. One is below the 5/16, and one is after the 6/16, the 3/8, which is 7/16. 7/16 is right before you get to the half. 9/16 is right after the half. Know your 16ths. Let's go over there one more time. Please know your 16ths, because they go 1/16, 2/16. But this, like where I have the stars, those are the 16ths you need to really, because then the other ones will be simple. Learn your 16ths, because you're going to either go before with the 1/8, or you're going to go back above it with another 1/8 or quarter or half or 3/4 or 5/8. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch is going to be before. When you're going to have 9/16 versus 7/16, one is going to be before, one is going to be after. Learn that. Let's go over 1/16, 3/16, 5/16. Then we have 7/16. Then we have 9/16. Then we have 11/16. We have 13/16. We have 15/16. And you know what? This is the end of the class for today. I hope you have really enjoyed something. We still have more that we do have to go through. This is going to be gone. This whole entire board is going to be erased. I've had this board up for a while teaching this. I'm going to leave my ruler here, because we're going to be going over some testing on how to come up and know the measurement on when I give you a call out size. And it's going to be up to you for you to have that call out size ready. My name is Derek Seals. I am your instructor for your carpentry class, the mastery class for this video. Please join me. I salute you. May your progress in learning. Keep going with me, because we got some exciting stuff that's getting ready to jump off. It's going to be off the chain. I promise you. You're going to learn so much. Check out the videos. They're here for you to learn. Go back and look at this video, because I broke this video down. I broke it down to the point to where every 16th, you know, you learn this right here. It's the same here as the same here up above. You're going to master that. And the sky's going to be limit, because we're going to be building together. Call me, and you're going to be able to be fascinated on what we do together.